Hello, and welcome to another video. Ever since Doors released, there were two characters who I found peculiar due to their lack of information. These characters, of course, are Guiding Light and Curious Light. In-game, Guiding Light acts as a spirit, which, as their name suggests, guides the player in the right direction whenever they are lost. Curious Light, on the other hand, attempts to do this, although they fail to provide any valuable information. These characters don't have a physical form, and instead are only represented through colored sparkles and death screens. Guiding Light is notably blue in color, and Curious Light is yellow in color. Although these characters are the only two light characters who have been formally introduced, I have reason to believe that there is a third one, and that we have already met them in-game. In this video, I'll be going over my theory for this third light character, as well as the evidence to support their existence. With the intro out of the way, let's begin. Alright, so me saying that there's a third light character in Doors is a pretty big claim to make. After all, we have never even seen a third one. However, although this third light character hasn't formally been introduced, there are context clues hidden around the game which point to their existence. The first piece of evidence I'd like to show you is the crucifix. When this item is used on an entity, they will be chained into place, and a sigil will form underneath them and suck them into the ground. Now, if you're a hardcore Doors fan, then you know that the sigil formed by the crucifix actually hides a secret message. This message, which is typed in the Wingdings font, reads this: "One of three architects marked by Celestials assists you." This one message is the basis for my theory, as it states a lot about the game's lore. Let's start by breaking it down. The message essentially states that there are three architects, and one of them helps you, the player. Now, it is likely that these architects are the ones responsible for creating the hotel, as that is the only real thing in this game which requires architects. However, there's still a pretty big question, that being, who are the architects? Well, we know that one of them helps the player, and there are only four characters in the game who help the player to some degree, those being Guiding Light, El Goblino, and Jeff. We can rule out El Goblino as one of his dialogue lines is, "Who do you think built this place?" If El Goblino was an architect for the hotel, why would they ask this question? He would already know the answer. I think it is also safe to rule out Jeff, as he doesn't really help the player, as his entire gimmick is completely optional and he just sits in one spot. This just leaves us with one candidate left, that being Guiding Light. Guiding Light being the architect actually makes a lot of sense. Not only are they the one to guide the player throughout the entire game, however they also seem to have a large understanding of the hotel, which would be a fitting characteristic for someone who helped build it. Anyways, now that we know that Guiding Light is one of the architects for the hotel, and he was the one to assist you, who are the other two? Well, I think it's safe to assume that the other architects are the other lights, as that would make them all have continuity. Curious Light is likely the second architect, and the third architect is the third light, which I have been talking about this whole video. The message on the sigil leads to the reveal of this third light character. Alright, so now that we have proven the existence of this third light character, what is their personality? Well, seeing how Guiding Light is entirely helpful and Curious Light provides no additional help, acting as a neutral force, I strongly believe that this third light will be entirely harmful, fulfilling the other end of the spectrum. Now, at the beginning of this video, I stated how we have likely already met this third light character, and I still believe we do. We know that Guiding Light is represented through blue coloring, and Curious Light is represented through yellow coloring. However, I think that the third light character is represented through red coloring. This would make sense, as the color red is typically associated with evil things, which would fit this character's suspected personality. Additionally, we have already seen red lighting in Doors, which could signify the presence of this third light. The first instance of red lighting and the third light's presence I'd like to bring up is in the Seek chase scene. During this sequence, a red light will suddenly shine throughout the room when Seek spawns. Although this lighting could just be for dramatic effect, it could also symbolize how the third light may have summoned Seek to stop you. The other instance of red lighting I'd like to bring up is with the crucifix. When you use the crucifix on either Seek or figure, the blue chains and sigil will turn red and break apart. We already know that the color blue represents Guiding Light, who's the force helping the player, and we know that the color red represents the third light, who is the force trying to stop the player. What if when the player uses the crucifix on these entities, it doesn't break due to the entity's sheer power, but rather because the third light is stopping it? I just think it is something interesting to think about. Anyways, with all of that being said, that is my entire third light theory for doors. To summarize, the sigil created from the crucifix basically confirms that there is a third light, and context clues around the game imply that this third light is evil and represented through the color red. In terms of their formal appearance, I suspect that this third light will appear when Floor 2 releases, as that would make the most sense. Anyways, thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed.